Hi, I'm Chris from Driver Training Limited. In today's video, we're doing an ADI Part 2 training and driving test for Shrewsbury. Now we're heading down towards Shelton on the other side of town, and we can see at this point the speed limit changes. So we need to remember to check our centre mirror before we put those brakes on if we need to slow down. As we follow the road down now, we go back to 40, but then this is one of the things that catches people for both the driving test in Shrewsbury and the ADI Part 2. Now the sign on the left can look a little bit confusing, which in fairness it is, but it's just telling us there's a turning to the left coming up, which is for Bicton and B4380. But then just after that turning, we can then follow the road round to the right, which leads us towards Copthorne or the town centre. Now, to look at this can seem quite confusing. So what we'll do is run the clip on and it will all become a little bit more clearer. So as we're coming down now, we're looking at the road markings in front of us, and we can see that the arrows tell us that the left lane you can turn left or go right from, but it is the lane for the town centre, which is what we saw on the board. So on the left there you can see briefly the sign for Bicton and the yellow sign upon it to tell you we're heading over towards that white sign, and then we're going to follow it round, keeping in the left-hand lane. So we come across slowly and we follow it round in to the left-hand lane. And again, the sign on the right tells us left lane is town centre, right lane is for the other routes. So we keep in the left lane and we're just going to follow this road down, and it will lead us down towards the town centre. Now the bit that many people miss is coming up, and it's the fact there are now 230-mile-an-hour signs and people just drive past this. So again, if you are going quicker, check that centre mirror first before starting to slow down. Now this road is fairly long and for the most part straight, but you do have a couple of meeting situations where again checking those mirrors is really important before you go round, then centre and left before you come back in. We've got more cars and another meeting situation, so again centre and right before going round, and once we come back in, centre and left. Now here, slowing it down by making sure as well that we've checked that centre mirror. You can see a lot of cars on the left have their mirrors tucked in, because so often cars just move across and take the mirrors off. So you've got to look at both sets of traffic, the parked cars and the cars coming opposite, and decide whether to stop or not. That brings us down to the roundabout. Now we might think, well, why are we covering the roundabout? I know how to do this, but this is a roundabout with a difference. It's possibly the only one in Shropshire where as we come up to it, if you look to the right, it tells us that if you're going right on this roundabout, you have to give way to traffic coming from the left, which of course is not the norm for roundabouts. Normally we give way to the right, but you've got the arrow, the give way, the two give way signs. So you've got to make sure if you're going right that it is clear from the left. Now as we come down, we've got to make sure, because of the traffic, that we don't end up in the bike box. We've got to make sure the car in front moves far enough forward that also if we need to stop, we don't get caught on the crossing. This is such a common fault when going through Shrewsbury Town Centre for the ADI Part 2 or the driving test. As we come to the lights, we're turning right, and here again is another part that catches many people out. We can see on the left and the right, we're now coming in to a 20-mile-an-hour zone. So from this point onwards, until we see any other signs telling us different, we know the road is 20 miles an hour. As we come over the Welsh Bridge, we can't see round this corner, so you need to go slowly, because although the lights are on green, very often pedestrians just are walking across this crossing, not thinking something's going to come round the corner. Now, if you look to the left, we've got our change of speed limit sign. It now becomes 30 miles an hour again. So if we miss that, we end up being failed for going too slowly. As we come down, now there's a lot of road markings to consider, and anticipation and planning, both for the ADI Part 2, for the driving test in Shrewsbury, becomes a major consideration. So first of all, we're going to deal with going left. As we come up to the lights now, you can see the car in front is braking. So one, are we going to get caught and stop in the junction, or are we going to get caught in the advanced cycle box? As we follow the road down, the cars are braking again. And at this point, if you notice, we've got a big keep clear box. So many people just roll into that and stop behind the cars without realizing it's actually there. So we really need to be looking and planning ahead if we're on this route. If we're going right, again, we come back to that junction, and here's an example. We can't clear the junction. It's actually a yellow box junction, but the road markings are faded. We also don't want to get caught in the advanced cycle box. If you roll into it because of traffic being slow moving and then getting caught, the highway code says that's fine. However, just to roll in it and stop is an automatic fail. So now we can get across the junction quite safely. So we just let it roll across. But as we're looking ahead, we've got the cars braking. We've also now got that keep clear box again. And here, one of the traps people fall into, do you notice the car in front has moved, but there's no way we could get through that box and leave sufficient gap between us and the car in front. So to leave the correct gap would mean we're caught in the keep clear box. As we come round, we're looking for the traffic stopping again. We see the lights changing. So now as we come up, we've got two hazards. The first is the yellow box junction, and you see across, faded though it is, that yellow line over there is actually the length of it. But also, we don't want to block the vehicles turning in from the right. So we've got to make sure that we do have enough gap. On a separate point, this building to the left has got a proper Addams Family vibe to it. I keep expecting on stormy days to see Uncle Fester at the window there, but that's got nothing to do with the ADI Part 2. Now we can get across, so you can see now a little more clearly where that yellow box comes to. We've got to be able to clear the box and leave the gap from the car in front. So you can see, even in slow moving traffic, there's a lot to take in. As we now begin to turn right, the sign tells us it's one way only. Over on the left there, you've actually got a sign saying there is a bus lane about to start. Again, faded though it is, we can see that bus lane and the solid white line, which means we can't cross. Added to that, now we've got two 20-mile-an-hour signs. So until we see any other signs, it's still 20. The van in the bus lane would mean any vehicles in that lane are going to pull out in front of you. And on the left, we've got another bus lane sign telling us this bus lane is operational from 7:30 a.m. to 6:30. So if it's 6:31 p.m., You can legally drive in that bus lane. However, it's not, so we can't. As we follow it up now, we've got the van. So we need to check the centre and left mirror before moving across into that bus lane. Once it's clear, we move back on, but again, the white car is sticking out on the right, so centre left mirror, make sure it's safe and clear before moving into that bus lane to give yourself more room. Now as we come down, the white line ends, so once again, centre and left mirror to make sure that it's clear on the left side of us. And then because the bus lane ends, we're meant to be in the left-hand lane. We've got parked cars ahead. Now as we're looking down at the lights, this is where one of the problems comes. You can't see round that bend, so sometimes if there's traffic, that silver car might stop there, and if you're not aware of it, you'll end up slap bang in the middle of that pedestrian crossing. So it's always best to approach it thinking, well, what if there is a queue of traffic? What if there's people crossing? Then we're prepared only to go when it's clear. The bus stop on the left, we can quite happily drive through. Remember, it's a bus lane that you can't. The bus stop, you're not going to stop in, so there's not a problem. Now, this is a one-way part, and as the rest of the road is, but this is where generally speed becomes an issue, because as you can see, the road clears, and now we're starting to go downhill. At the traffic lights, we're going to turn left on this occasion, so it's best to signal. Now here, you've got a choice of 3 routes: left, straight ahead, and right. So to give a left signal is better because of any pedestrians or cyclists. As long as it's not a confusing signal, there's not a problem with it. As we come down, gravity tends to take over. Remember, this is still 20 miles an hour. We haven't seen any other road signs to say it's different. We had those on the floor confirming it was 20. Again, faded though they are. With the car, centre and right mirror before going round it, or else it's easy just to go round without checking them. Centre and left to come back in. As we come down, the road widens and empties. You've still got to be thinking this road is 20 miles an hour. And as we come down, you can see it's only when we get to the other side of the bridge now we see the change of speed limit to 30 miles an hour. So keeping that in mind, we know from this point on, we're back to 30. As we're heading down the road, very often, depending on what route you're on, but it does come up quite a lot, the examiner for the ADI Part 2 or the driving test may say, I would like you to take the next road on the left. As we turn into this road now, over on the right-hand side, we can see the sign telling us this is now a one-way road. And it's really important to know this at this point. As we're coming down the road, it's good to think, what if something comes the other way round this corner? Could be a cyclist, could be a car. That's not going to happen, you might think. Well, let me show you an example where we're pulled up talking. The car comes round. First of all, even if he thought it was 2 ways, coming round on the wrong side of the road, but there he is, happily driving down a one-way in the wrong direction. So never think there can't be anything coming the other way. But because it's a one-way road, we know to turn right in a one-way road, we need to be in the right-hand lane. So the road markings confirm the lane positioning, but even if they were faded and we couldn't see them, we know for a fact if there's 2 lanes, it's a one-way road, I should be in the right-hand lane. Then they'll bring you down to the end of this road, and very often they will ask you to turn left. Now, as we come up this road, we're going to face another couple of issues. At the traffic lights, they will ask you to go straight ahead or follow the road ahead. Now, first of all, on the left, you can see the blue sign tells us to go ahead is right-hand lane, but also here, the bike lane ends. However, it now swaps to the center of the road, so checking left, center and right mirror does become really important. At this junction, we've got a yellow box junction as well, so even if the lights are on green, we may need to stop if we can't clear it, and checking those 3 mirrors is vital. So we hope this video has helped you avoid the pitfalls of ADI Part 2 training in Shrewsbury or taking your driving test in Shrewsbury. If it has, don't forget to like, share and subscribe to our channel. My name's Chris from Driver Training. Remember to teach well, drive safely, and we'll see you all again in our next video.